More than 61,000 GP appointments are missed every day. Can you believe that in the UK? Driving up waiting times for other patients and costing the NHS a staggering £300 million a year. Now, some campaigners are calling for patients to be fined £20 each every time they fail to turn up and want repeat offenders struck off from surgery lists. Now, Hilary, you are a top businesswoman. How would you tackle this issue?
Definitely, I think I'd impose some kind of pecuniary measures against the offenders. But
so
also,
a fine?
Yeah, a fine. But it's not that difficult, is it, to isolate who the offenders are? Because if a person's got an appointment at a GP's practice and say it's for Friday, they will have told their employer, I have a GP's appointment on Friday, 10:30, whatever. Those are the people that will turn up. So the people that are not turning up are either the people that are not working, there's no excuse, or the youngsters who make it and suddenly get themselves better in the timescale, and again, there's no excuse.
And just don't let the GPs know that they...
to let the GPs know. So I think definitely some kind of pecuniary measures should be in place.
What about the notion of striking them off? 3 strikes and you're out?
Well, yeah, and there's that as well. But I also think that, and it's part of the British culture and heritage, that, you know, if we don't buy something, strangely enough, our nation doesn't value it. Now, because we all pay NHI contributions out of our salaries, you don't actually know that you are paying for the NHS. But unless you're actually digging in your hand and they're saying, well, there's £20 that I've got to forfeit because I missed my appointment, it will never, ever be any different unless we do something like that. Well,
it is in... I mean, we are so blessed to have the NHS.
Absolutely.
But in many other countries, in other parts of the world, that you do have to pay every time you visit a doctor's. It'd be very interesting to see the parallels.
Even in Ireland.
Yeah, of course, in the Republic of Ireland, yeah.
You know, so I personally think that, yes, definitely they should be fined.
And what would you do then for... Because there must be so many things like that in the NHS, mustn't there, where if you added them all up, it would be millions and millions.
I don't believe anybody can go into the NHS with a magic wand, or any board of consultants can go in and resolve all the issues.
Yeah.
I think what they need to do is take fragments of the issues on the periphery, solve them and work inwards as they do that, and actually engage their own staff more.
Yeah.
You know.
Listen to the staff and find out what's working and what's... You know, it's the staff on the grassroots level that know what's working and what's not working. Also, there are different NHS trusts and people have different ways of running things depending on what part of the country that you're in. So a nationwide solution wouldn't necessarily work. What about the whole notion of using a pharmacist more rather than going to GPs? Do you do that?
I do, yeah. If it's something minor, then I will go to my pharmacy, and I've got a regular one that I go to and he knows us quite well. But if it's a doctor's appointment, I've got a really good relationship with our GP, National Health, same as everyone else, and I ring up, you speak to the secretary, they then tell the doctor that you've rung, and if the doctor feels that you need to come in, he'll speak to you and ask you the symptoms, and you'll then come in. They also, what they do at our GP surgery, is they send you a text to remind you you've got an appointment. So there's no excuse for forgetting that you've got the appointment. You get the text message and everything.
Laziness, isn't it? It's like, I've got it for free, so...
So I'm not bothering.
And it's so annoying when you think how many... I mean, I know my nanny Thelma, she has to wait usually about 2 weeks before she can get an appointment. And that's quite right, you know, she's 92, she gets really worried about even asking for an appointment. And I think, crikey, there's all those people that just didn't bother to tell. What does it take to just phone up and say, can't make it? You're talking about seconds.
Manners,
We've had a tweet in from Charlotte who says, my husband's a GP and we believe that fining people would improve general practice. The British public need to respect their access to healthcare because one day it may be gone. And I totally agree. I think you're right. I think so maybe your third time, maybe, you get fined, and I think it would stop. And like you say, it would save millions.
Yeah. Well, you were talking about, you know, problems within the NHS on various different levels. You told us a story earlier.
I did, yeah. I mean, I've got a lot of friends that are in the consultants, surgeons and medical profession, and some of the stories they tell me are horror stories, particularly more prevalent in London because they are in London. Not least the fact that we're losing half of them because they're going to Australia and New Zealand. But, you know, stories like if a surgeon, the boxes of gloves that they have, surgical gloves, and say the box is open and they use 2 dozen, these boxes contain, say, 1,000, and 2 dozen are used during surgery, that box is then thrown away, disposed of, because theoretically, they state it's contaminated.
Do you think
Then
that
why don't
might
they make
cost?
smaller boxes of
well,
gloves?
A, smaller boxes,
Yeah.
or B, containers that cannot be contaminated.
Or have each pair of gloves sealed in something that is
Yeah. Do you
sterile.
You know what?
that can
I'd
be
love
peeled
to be
open.
given a go, an opportunity. It's all right to David Cameron, and just let me have.
Oh, he
a go.
watches, I'm sure. You'll be getting a little cheeky text at the end of the show.
I wonder if he'd return my letter if I wrote to him. That's all right.